If you've ever planned a trip and thought, what could possibly go wrong? This episode is for you. Welcome to Traveling with AAA Side Trip, where we take a deep dive into some important travel topics with industry experts. I'm Angie Orth, and today we're diving into the world of travel insurance, a safety net that more and more travelers are calling a must-have. There's no better person to guide us through than Daniel Durazo from Allianz Partners. He has decades worth of experience in the travel industry. From missed ports on cruises to unexpected hospital stays abroad, Daniel shares real stories and smart strategies to make sure your next trip is protected from the unexpected. We're also digging into some fun travel trends from Allianz's annual Vacation Confidence Index, like how more Americans than ever are taking microcations, those quick getaways that still pack a punch, or how travelers are building trips around their favorite artists like Taylor Swift, and shows such as The White Lotus. And we are so here for it. Whether you're headed out on a cruise, exploring a new city solo, or planning a weekend road trip, this episode will help you travel with confidence and a little extra inspiration. We're recording this podcast today at the Jefferson Hotel. This is a historic hotel in Richmond, and Richmond is the home of Allianz. So this is Daniel Durazo, and he's our friend from Allianz. He's here to tell us all about travel insurance and the travel index.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you about some travel insurance products and services, which are always fun and exciting. And then what I really think is most interesting is we just came out with the results of our new Vacation Confidence Index, which is a survey we do every year to measure the confidence of Americans they'll be taking a summer vacation. And we got some really interesting results to talk about.
I cannot wait to get into that because there are some very surprising results.
Yeah.
But first, let's talk about how Allianz is one of the world's leading insurers and asset managers.
Yeah, so we're big. It's a company that's been around for over 100 years, and it's based in Germany. Here in the U.S., we have different lines of business. The line of business that I work for is Allianz Travel Insurance. So our products are available to consumers who are looking to protect their trips and help them while they're traveling.
Why do you think it should be part of everyone's pre-trip checklist?
Well, you know, travel has become somewhat of an investment, as I'm sure you know. You're saving, you're planning, you're putting your packing list together. If you have to cancel your trip for a reason that travel insurance covers, you can get all your money back, and then you can go another time, which is great. And people think, well, I'm never going to cancel my trip, right? But it happens more than you think. The kids get sick. Somebody gets injured, another event happens that's covered by travel insurance, and these things happen all the time. The world has become kind of an unpredictable place. There's natural disasters, there's weather, there's all kinds of stuff. So you want to protect that investment so you don't lose it, so that you can get that money back and go on your trip another time if you have to cancel for a reason the policy covers.
It's almost crazy not to have it in this day and age.
Yeah, I think if you're making a significant investment in your trip, you want to protect it. And we'll also talk a little bit about how travel insurance can help while you're traveling, which a lot of people don't really know about, but which I think is the most valuable part of travel insurance.
What are some of the reasons somebody might have to cancel a trip? Something somebody doesn't think of, like sure, you get sick, but are there other ones that maybe people don't consider?
Yeah, so there's a lot of different reasons that someone might cancel their trip. So the ones that people think of most frequently are the kids got sick, right? And they're too sick to go on the trip. Or maybe you have an elderly relative. I don't know if you do, I certainly do. And they might get sick or injured and you just don't want to go on your trip. You know, there are a lot of different reasons that people cancel their trip. There are reasons that are particular to the AAA products that we offer. And one is, which I love, is your pet gets seriously injured or ill and has a veterinary emergency, you could cancel your trip.
That's huge.
I know, or your pet passed away, God forbid. I hate when that happens. That's horrible. But you can cancel your trip because who really wants to go on their trip, you know, when they're feeling that way. So there's about 20 different covered reasons. That's what we call them, covered reasons, which are situations that the policy covers, which allows people to cancel their trip. The best thing people can do is to read their policy. I know this is crazy talk, but people will get policies and they'll just throw them in the drawer or, let them sit in their computer. It's a good thing to read the policy so you can understand what's covered. There's also some things which are specifically not covered, which are called exclusions. So you can read the covered reasons, you can read the exclusions, you can call us with questions, you can talk to your AAA travel advisor about the coverage that you need and how you can protect your trip. And that way you can have real peace of mind, which is so important when you go on vacation, because you don't want to worry about anything on vacation. You want to relax. And if you buy the travel insurance, you'll know that you're protected, whether something happened before your trip or during your trip, and you can just enjoy your trip.
The peace of mind really matters, because the last thing you want to be thinking about when your luggage is lost on the way to Jamaica is, I had so much stuff in there. I bought so many clothes for this trip, because that's what I do. And I don't want to lose all my clothes that I just bought because the airline lost my luggage. If you're protected, is that something that would be covered?
Yeah, so travel insurance has a lot of different benefits. So the number one reason people buy it is for the cancellation coverage. So if you can't go on your trip, you get your money back. We've already talked about that. Another thing that travel insurance covers, which you may not be familiar with, is trip interruption. So if you get sick or injured, one of the kids gets hurt, grandma falls on the cobblestones in Europe, these things happen. You might need to interrupt your trip. And interrupting your trip means you're just going to come home. So I went to Europe for 2 weeks, say, something happened in the middle of week 1. I need to interrupt my trip. So the expenses you might run into are, I need to change my ticket to come home earlier. So that's going to be an expense that travel insurance can cover. Travel insurance can also cover, maybe you missed out on a tour that you were going to take that you prepaid. Maybe there's a rental car, maybe there's a hotel that's prepaid. Travel insurance can cover those unused prepaid expenses. So that's trip interruption coverage, which is really important, I think. Have you ever been significantly delayed while traveling?
Oh, yeah. By days. Yeah, definitely.
So it happens. So travel insurance with travel delay coverage can pay for those extra costs that you might experience while you're delayed. So if you're delayed, say you're in the airport with the kids, right? You got to feed the kids. Airport food is not cheap.
No, it's not.
And they want to get dragged around and they want to get fed. So travel insurance can pay for all those meals. It can also pay for ground transportation, lodging while you're significantly delayed. So it's nice that, you're delayed is not fun, but it doesn't have to cost you any money if you have travel delay coverage. But I think one of the most important reasons to buy travel insurance, and this is what I was alluding to earlier, is the emergency medical coverage that comes with travel assistance. So travel assistance is great. If you need help while you're traveling, you can call us 24/7 and we'll help you with no matter what the problem might be. You need to find a doctor, you lost your passport, you need to locate a pharmacy, any of those types of things. If you're in unfamiliar territory, those can be a little daunting, especially if you're not in a nice hotel with a concierge and all that. Maybe you're in a situation where you're in a rental or you're kind of roughing it or those types of things. You want to have that resource available to you. Another resource that's available to you, we have a mobile app, it's called Elise, and it is an award-winning app and you can use it for different things. One, you can use it to schedule virtual or in-person doctor visits at your location.
Wow.
Yeah. So if you get sick or injured and you need to talk to a doctor, you can decide, well, virtual should be okay because it's an ear infection. I've had them before. I need the antibiotics. I need a prescription. Here's the pharmacy.
Wow.
You could do that virtually, or you could schedule a doctor visit in person if you need more help. And usually those cost our customers nothing. So we just pay for those for you so that you don't even have to pay out of pocket. So that's the travel assistance part. And the medical coverage is really important because a lot of times foreign medical providers won't take insurance. People think that, well, my domestic health insurance will cover it, typically will not, and Medicare will not cover out of the country. So you can use our insurance to pay for those costs. Also, sometimes we have to bring people home in various ways. So we bring them back in commercial airlines, we bring them back in air ambulances. Those can get expensive. We arrange and pay for all that.
Connecting with loved ones is easier when vacation mishaps are off your mind and in trusted hands. With plan benefits designed to protect your investments in case something unexpected happens before or during your trip, you can travel with confidence. Protect your trip with Allianz Travel Insurance. For more details, visit AAA.com/travel insurance.
So, do you have an example of a time where you had to use your Allianz to get you out of a pickle?
Yeah, so this is a bad story, but I went to Punta Cana in the Dominican Republic, which I love. The Dominican Republic is beautiful. The beaches are great. The people are so nice. And it was in December. I was going for Christmas, and I didn't feel well before I left. And so this is like around the 23rd of December, right before Christmas. Mm-hmm. And so I go to the urgent care where I live, here in beautiful Richmond, by the way. And they tell me I have a sinus infection. So they give me antibiotics, and they did a chest x-ray and sent me on my way. And I said, can I go on my trip? They said, yep, have fun. So I get to Punta Cana, and I'm not feeling well. I'm coughing the whole time I'm there. And I go to the gym one morning, and I come back, and I lay down, and I cannot get up. And it is the strangest feeling not to be able to get up. It's never happened to me before in my life. It hasn't happened to me since.
Wow.
I couldn't get up, but the urgent care had been calling me like on Christmas Day, and I never answered their call or called them back. So I called them back, and they say, how are you? And I said, oh, I feel horrible. And they say, well, that's because you have pneumonia. Your x-rays came back. You have pneumonia. That's why you don't feel good. They said, can you come in now? I said, well, I'm in Punta Cana. I really can't come in right now. And they said, well, we suggest that you seek medical care right away. So I called the concierge, and it was a great resort. They had a doctor there at the resort. And they said, can you make it to the doctor? I'm in a t-shirt and a bathing suit. And I take my phone, and I walk to the doctor, and she says, oh, you have pneumonia in both lungs now. You need to go to the hospital.
Oh, no.
So I ended up being in the hospital for 2 days in Punta Cana, looking out my hospital room window while I'm on vacation, thinking, boy, this really stinks. But I called our travel assistance department, said, I'm in the hospital. They said, don't worry about a thing. You get better. We're going to take care of the bill, and we'll take care of, anything else that you need. So travel insurance for me covered my hospital bill, which wasn't bad in Punta Cana. It was about $3,000 for 2 days.
But still, you don't expect that added on to the cost of your vacation.
No, I wouldn't want to pay that myself. I want to save that for my souvenirs. Mm-hmm. And then they also covered the part of the unused expenses that I wasn't able to use because I was sitting in the hospital for 2 days. And then I recovered fully and I got back on the plane and went home. But I mean, those types of things happen, and I'm a very healthy person, but you just don't know.
You don't know. I've heard so many stories of friends who perfectly healthy, slip and fall, break your back in the middle of the Amazon. And what do you do if you don't have travel insurance?
Yeah,
I really don't know.
And it's not just the money, but it's the logistics. So if you really hurt yourself, and we hear this all the time, we've done testimonials from customers who've really hurt themselves or a family member has. I went to Annapolis, Maryland, and interviewed a woman who she was in Italy with her mother, and her mother had a stroke. And firemen had to take her out the hotel window because they couldn't get her down the stairs in this narrow Italian hotel in a stretcher. We brought her back first class in a commercial airliner with a nurse escort who took care of her the whole way. And these folks were so grateful because they really could not have figured out how to navigate this situation without our help. And that's the part that you really don't realize is, what are you going to do if something happens? You want somebody who's an expert in this area to help you. And that's things we do every day.
How can travelers make sure they're choosing the right coverage for their specific needs? Because that can be confusing, wading through what do you need? Do you really want the cheapest plan? Do you want to go for the best one with all the coverage? What do you think?
Yeah, it can be a little confusing, and there are a lot of options out there. So what I would do, I would talk to my AAA travel advisor, and I'd say, this is the trip I want to go on. This is who's going. This is kind of the family situation I have going, and they can really offer you the products that are going to best fit both your itinerary and the specific needs of your travelers and your family. So I would talk to them about it because they can be a fantastic resource.
That's super helpful. You don't have to figure it out all on your own. Well, let's talk about the Vacation Confidence Index for this year. It just came out.
Yep. Hot off the presses.
Allianz has been doing this for how many years?
So I'll tell you the funny story about it is when I first got to Allianz Partners in 2009, we were doing a survey. It was called the Travel Frustration Index. And I said, well, this is no good. People don't want to hear about frustrations. So I was on the elliptical at the gym one day and I came up, well, you know, the Consumer Confidence Index, a lot of people are familiar with that. So I said, let's have a Vacation Confidence Index. So we teamed up with Ipsos, which is a very large, well-known research company. And we've been doing it every year since 2009. And it measures how confident Americans are that they'll be able to go on vacation, how much they're going to spend, which people like to know, and then some of the things that they'll do while they're traveling. And we've identified a lot of fun trends over the years. We'll talk about some of those trends, I think, but it's been a great survey. And a lot of people really look to it as a barometer of the health of the travel industry. We've seen the numbers go up and down. We saw what happened during the pandemic, and then we saw it come roaring back, you know, post-pandemic as people latched onto revenge travel. So we've seen a lot of fun trends and things happen over the years. So it's been great.
I was going to say, if you started it in 2009, the Vacation Confidence Index has seen some things.
We've seen some things.
Some budget changes and administration changes. So let's talk about the confidence for this year, because I'm kind of surprised by some of these numbers. It says more Americans than ever are planning to take a summer vacation, even in the face of economic pressures. Why are vacations still such a priority?
So Angie, let me tell you the story of the pandemic. So during the pandemic, people couldn't travel. And so people were very unhappy that they couldn't travel. And after the pandemic ended, people said, I'm never doing that again. Where before the pandemic, people were like, you can travel anytime, you know, maybe I'll go, maybe I won't. After the pandemic, people valued their vacation time so much more. And we actually saw this in the survey, and we've seen it this year. We have a record in confidence this year. 63% of Americans say they're confident they're going to be able to take a vacation. That's a record for us in the time we've been doing this survey. And it's just been going up and up since after the pandemic. And we think the reason is people just value their vacation time so much more after they had lost it and now have it back.
Things changed so fast for so many of us. And in the travel industry, we wondered, will we ever get to travel again? So now, we're going on a vacation.
We're going. We're not staying home.
So what surprised you the most when you saw this year's numbers?
I think what's interesting to me is how much vacation confidence has gone up since 2019. So in 2019 was a good year. I don't know if you remember it, but it was pre-pandemic. People were traveling. It was good year financially, I think, for most people. But back in 2019, only 42% of Americans were confident they would take a vacation, according to the survey. So fast forward to 2025, we've got 63%. That is a huge gap, 21% increase.
That's massive.
It's massive, and that really surprised me that we've come that far since 2019.
So 2020 changed everything.
Everything.
For us.
It really did.
Spending is at a record high, $226 billion. Am I reading that right, with a B?
You are reading that correctly.
So does that suggest people are traveling differently than they did, or just more people are and more often?
So yes, yes, and yes. One of the trends that we found this year was luxury travel has gone up quite a bit. So 31% of the Americans we surveyed are going to take luxury trips this year. That's almost a third of the people we talked to. That's a lot of folks. So we're here in the beautiful Jefferson Hotel. This would be a great place to stay on a luxury trip because it really doesn't get more luxurious than these type of accommodations. But we're also seeing that travelers under 35 have really latched onto this luxury trend, if you will. And they want to experience some of the finer things in life, I think. And I think that's kind of a post-pandemic trend as well, where people see, oh, there's these great things we can do, let's do them. But I think overall, it's a combination of things. So the types of trips Americans are taking have changed quite a bit. Popularity of cruising, for example. Cruising has become huge.
Yeah.
And people are doing it quite a bit. And then increased confidence, more people are going, as you said. And then also there is a little bit of inflation. So trip costs are up a little bit. So all that is helping to drive that $226 billion.
So you mentioned younger populations are really excited about taking vacations, Gen Z, millennials. Why do you think they're so confident? Is that also a result of 2020, or are people just feeling YOLO about life?
Everyone's YOLO. So I think there's a couple things. It is a little post-pandemic-y, I would say, but also there's some trends that are helping to drive that. One thing that's gotten very big with that group is solo travel. So have you ever done solo travel?
Yeah.
I love solo travel because I don't have to kowtow to anyone else's itinerary. I can do exactly what I want. This year, 46% of 18 to 34-year-olds are going to solo travel. That's a big percentage.
That's huge.
Yeah, and I think that travel suppliers are starting to see that too and accommodating solo travelers, where before they were kind of the oddballs. Now I think it's very mainstream.
Let's talk about microcations.
I love to talk about microcations because we made that word up. I love all the stuff that we made up words for because it's fun to talk about. So microcations are a word we made up to put a label on this trend of 4 nights or fewer. So if you're on a 4-night or fewer trip, you're on a microcation.
Okay.
And we've seen those numbers go up. The trips are popular with higher earners too, who will take at least 3 microcations this year. So people who earn a little more money like those microcations because maybe they're super busy people, they can get away for a few days. They also will spend more on microcations on a per night basis. Because if I'm going to get away for a short trip, let's do it right. Let's have fun. Let's not worry about the money because it's just a compacted trip. So yeah, microcations are big.
So you think people will spend more on the nicer hotel and the schwankier restaurants and maybe more tours because it's shorter. So you're kind of justifying it just a little bit and you can make the budget go.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's what they're doing. But you know what also works well for a microcation is a driving trip. So people like driving trips, especially when you have the kids. You don't have to go to the airport. You can get in the car and go on a driving trip. Just from where we are here in Richmond, you can be in an hour in Busch Gardens, Colonial Williamsburg, theme parks, all the historical attractions that we have. We have museums, great food, great museums, all that stuff. And that can all be a driving trip. One thing people don't realize is that travel insurance can cover a driving trip that's 50 miles or more from your home.
Only 50 miles?
Only 50 miles. So
oh, wow.
all those costs that you would protect, usually getting on the plane, can be also covered on a driving trip that's at least 50 miles from home. So if you've got hotel expenses and tours and things like that, travel insurance can cover it. So those are great microcations. Maybe you want to go take a romantic weekend to a B&B or a winery, or you want to take the kids to a theme park. You can cover that with travel insurance.
That's very convenient.
It is.
And I don't think we experience enough of the places right around us. The places 50 miles or so around us. We kind of ignore those.
I know it's the local, it's being a local, you're like, oh, that's for tourists. That's not for me.
Right. Or I'll see that sometime. When I lived in New York City, I never went to all the things, the touristy things. And now I think, wow, I never went to the top of the Empire State Building.
I just was in New York for work and, I still am not good about doing tourist things while I'm there because I've been there so many times. And I said, oh, I'll do that another time. I'm not going to, go to the top of the Empire State Building. But there are so many great things to do in New York. We could talk about that all day.
We really could. So we talked a little bit about cruising, but why do you think people are still so enthusiastic? Of course, I was like the doomsday. In 2020, I was like, we're never doing anything again. We're just never going to have fun. We're never going to cruise. We're never going to fly. And it's roared back. More people are cruising than ever. The cruise lines are building ships at just a wild unimaginable
It's
rate.
crazy.
So why are people still so enthusiastic about it?
So my theory is it's the diversity of the offerings. So cruising is so great because there is a product for everyone. Every budget, every situation, every kind of family situation that you have. You want to see Europe, there's a cruise for you. You want to go on a big cruise ship that's got lots of fun stuff to do, there's a cruise for you. And there's everything in between. You want to go see icebergs in Alaska, you can go do that. So the diversity is amazing. I really think that cruising is just become so popular that that's a trend that's just here to stay. It's not going to go away. The cruise lines have done such a great job of kind of packaging up those products and making them available to just a wide variety of travelers that I think it's great, and I think people really are enjoying it. One thing about cruising, though, those trips are usually a decent investment. So you do want to protect those trips with travel insurance. One thing people don't realize also, God forbid you get sick on the ship, but it happens. If you go to the infirmary, they're going to want you to pay that bill before you get off. Those infirmaries are usually run by third parties, and they will ask you for your credit card. Travel insurance will pay those costs for you. So hopefully nothing will happen on the cruise ship, but if you do get sick and have to go to the infirmary, you can get those costs reimbursed by travel insurance. So again, one less thing you have to worry about when you go, and one less thing you'll have to pay for when you get back.
Right. You don't have to panic when you start to get the sniffles.
Don't
you don't
panic.
have to think, oh no, this is really going to max out my credit card.
Yeah, go to the infirmary, get taken care of, file a claim with us, and we'll send your money back.
That sounds so easy.
Yeah.
Pop culture, sports, and entertainment are shaping people's plans. People are really traveling for events and festivals and concerts. Why do you think that is? What's inspiring people to do that more than ever?
Do you remember Taylor Swift?
Do I remember Taylor Swift? Are you kidding? Yes, I do.
So I call this the Taylor Swift effect. I have names for lots of stuff, you'll find out. So this is the Taylor Swift effect. So her tour may be over, but she really created a trend that continues today. So our survey found that 29% of Americans are planning to travel to a destination for some sort of pop cultural event. That's a lot of people, and that really is a trend that Taylor Swift created because people were traveling to her concerts, right? And people were still at the end when she was in Europe, traveling to Europe to go to those. You did it?
I went to Stockholm, yeah.
Oh, there you go. Your perfect example. The Taylor Swift effect in person.
Right here.
So people did that quite a bit. And that is a trend which people said, oh, this is great. Because I get to go someplace and I get to see something that I really want to see. And I get to experience maybe another culture, a place I haven't been and maybe otherwise never would have gone. To Stockholm, for example, if it wasn't to see Taylor Swift. So people are looking for those opportunities still. And the other thing is sporting events. So people love to travel to go to sporting events to see their favorite teams. And 43% of Americans in our survey are planning to attend a ticketed sporting event this year.
Wow.
So you combine travel with cultural events and sports and entertainment. It really makes for a great experience. And I think Americans have really latched onto this trend, and I think this is a new trend.
It's not going anywhere.
I don't think so.
And the numbers are kind of high, so
They are high.
it's only going to get higher, I imagine, as it catches on.
Yeah, I mean, when trends start, they tend to start with folks who are early adopters, and then the mainstream will adopt them, and then you'll really, it won't just be a trend, it'll just be normalized.
It's just what everyone does.
Exactly.
Similar, in the same vein at least, this study talks about set jetting, which is where travelers visit locations they've watched in films and TV series. That's motivating people to go places now.
So I told you I have a name for everything. I call this the White Lotus effect.
Okay, love it.
Have you seen the White Lotus?
Of course.
I love it too. Don't tell me about the last season because I'm still behind. I try not to read
spoilers.
anything about the White Lotus because I don't want the ending to be spoiled for me. But I saw the first 2 seasons, and I think people who watch that show, they're like, oh, wow, I want to go to Hawaii, or I want to go to Italy, or I want to go to Thailand. And there's also a lot of great travel shows on TV. I don't know if you've seen Samantha Brown's show. She has a great show. And there's lots of other shows which kind of dive into what you can do at various destinations, a lot about the people. People watch these shows, and they're very inspirational. And I think what you see on TV really kind of drives people to want to experience what they're seeing, because it does look so inviting. And that's the set jetting effect. Is I saw it in a movie, I saw it on TV. I want to do that.
We just did an episode about this whole thing with entertainment journalist Rachel Chang, and she goes all over for this specific, Bridgerton or Jane Austen.
Wow.
Or The Sound of Music in the Alps. She's done all these fun trips. And why not? What an interesting way to get you to a place you might not have gone.
Yeah, I mean, if you really love a show and you are kind of invested in it, why not go see all that stuff? I mean, I think it's fantastic.
And now, would you wear costumes?
Yeah, I'm not a big costume guy,
Okay.
but if you want to, more power to you.
I think that's right up my alley. So even with rising costs, you talked a little bit about inflation. The VCI report shows people are still willing to take trips they technically can't afford.
Yeah, that was an interesting trend that we found, and I told you I had names for everything. A just a vacation. So you're justifying your vacation.
I love that. That
Just a
really
vacation
sums me up in a word.
I gift this term to you.
Thank
so
you.
It's now my gift to you. Just a vacation. So very simply, it's people are prioritizing travel over other things, which, you can say, oh, it's great, it's not great. I like it because I think travel is just so important to just make yourself more relaxed. And in a world where people have so much coming at them all the time, whether it's your family or the news or whatever it may be, vacations are very important. And I think people realize that, especially post-pandemic. And they're just prioritizing that investment above other things. And that's just a vacation. And like it or not, I think it's a trend here to stay.
We hear that a lot, experiences, not things.
Mm-hmm.
And it does seem like it's becoming more common to spend on vacations and just not give as many gifts, or maybe not go crazy at Christmas time with the gifts, but plan a family trip instead.
Have you ever looked around your house and said, boy, I sure have a lot of stuff?
Yes, indeed. I have.
And you think, boy, I wish I'd spent this money on something else, like an experience or a trip. And I think people have come to that realization. Hopefully they'll save and they'll go on their trip when they can afford it. But some people are kind of throwing caution to the wind and just going.
Life is short.
Life is short. And who wants to worry while they're on vacation?
That kind of defeats the purpose. So what is that, and what should travelers do if they're sick or injured while on the road?
So it's terrible when these things happen, but since they happen to me, I love to talk about travel assistance. So when you're out and you need help, you don't always know where to turn. And it's always good to know that there is someone to turn to if you need that help. So we have this Elise mobile app, and we have designed into it one-touch calling to our customer service and travel assistance teams. So you can just pick up your phone, open the Elise app, hit one button, and you've got us. And then whatever the problem is, we can help with usually, even if it's things like I want to find something to do, we can typically help you with those types of things by looking up, what's near your destination. But travel assistance can be as simple as that, or it can be as complicated as getting you to a medical provider, getting you home.
So people should buy insurance when they book their trip.
Yeah, it really is the best rule that you can have for yourself is, I'm planning my trip, I'm going to book my trip and buy my insurance at the same time. And there's an important reason for that. There's actually a couple important reasons. One, you'll get the longest period of coverage possible when you book. So some folks will book their trip and not buy the travel insurance until later. It's not really a smart thing to do because something could happen between the time you booked your trip and when you purchase the travel insurance. You don't want that. You want to have the longest period of coverage possible. It doesn't cost you any extra to get that longer period of coverage. So buy when you book. And there's another good reason to do it, especially during hurricane season. So if a storm is already out there churning somewhere and it's been named, it's too late to buy travel insurance to protect you from that storm. So once a storm is named, it's a known event. Travel insurance covers unforeseen events. So you want to buy when you book so you're insured before that storm is named so that you'll be covered for it. So two great reasons to buy when you book.
That's a great rule of thumb because I am a known procrastinator and I will often say, oh, I'll get that later. But especially in the case of hurricanes, if you do it now, when you book, you're covered for all of them.
Angie, buy when you book.
Buy when you book. Okay, I will. With the popularity of cruises and American travelers, is there any specific benefit people should be aware of when they're getting travel insurance for cruises?
Yeah, so our products through AAA offer a couple of very specific benefits that are great for cruises. One is high or low water. So you might know that, especially on river cruises, the water levels can vary depending on the time of year, depending on the weather. If the water is too low or too high to be able to take that trip at your destination, travel insurance products through AAA can cover that, and you can cancel your trip and go another time. We also have another great benefit that's called missed port of call. So sometimes cruise ships will miss a port of call due to bad weather at that port of call or some technical reason. If you have a missed port of call, travel insurance can reimburse you a convenience payment of $100 per insured traveler. So it takes a little bit of the sting out of missing a port of call, because when you get to the new one, you can buy more drinks or more souvenirs. So missed port of call really is a great benefit.
That's really helpful because it is very disappointing when you really wanted to go to a specific port and for whatever reason you don't get to. So
yeah, and it does happen. And when you can get a payment from us for it, it does help take the sting out of it.
That's a nice benefit.
Yeah.
Before we wrap up, what is one simple action travelers can take today to make sure their next trip is protected and stress-free?
You know, we said it a couple times, but I think the best thing that travelers can do is talk to their AAA travel advisor to, one, understand all the parameters of their trip so they have a good sense of where they're going, what they're going to do, and also about their travel insurance options. So they can talk to their AAA travel advisor and find out the best way to protect their trip and get that peace of mind so they can leave, not worry about a thing, and have a great trip.
Important and wise words from Daniel Durazo, the expert on travel insurance and travel and all of the things. So thank you for joining us.
Hey, it's been great to be here. Thanks for having me.
Daniel Durazo, thank you for joining us. And thank you, our listeners, for being with us. If you're planning a trip, be sure to connect with a AAA travel advisor. Check out AAA.com/travel or visit your local branch. This podcast was sponsored by Allianz and is a production of Auto Club Enterprises. If you enjoyed it, please subscribe and leave us a review. I'm Angie Orth. Thank you for traveling with AAA.